putting the psychic economist on hold to deliver a presentation on emerging threats in the 2020 Democratic primary. Dark money campaigns are influencing our good neighbors' ability to make rational decisions, and this just goes beyond the corporate media rigging of the polls, leaving candidates off of the results. This is a presentation on emerging threats to multiple campaigns. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because last night, one of my potential partners sent me a very disturbing bit of info about who is working for Mayor Pete. Now, if you like Mayor Pete and he's right for you, I do not want to spoil the fun for you. But if you have a financial interest in supporting this candidate who, well, we're going to have to talk a bit, okay? We're going to have a little bit of a talk. Marianne Williamson is running a very honest campaign. She has good people, but she doesn't have the kind of funding that Mayor Pete has to deal with. Okay, now there's a difference between how much money you have and whether or not you are going to be able to energize your bases. Bernie Sanders received at least $1 a million times. He has over 1 million donors. Donald Trump's fundraising efforts exceed him by far. But we are winning. Kamala Harris raised a ton of money, and she had fundraising events scheduled for this week. Tulsi Gabbard, being the good military woman she is, was able to identify the idea of a Kamala Harris presidency as a threat to our domestic security. And like the good military woman she is, she disabled that threat. That is over now, and there is no need to consider that entity a threat. Associates have brought in the possibility that she could be brought on as a vice president, but that is not something that we typically worry about until after the nomination. In the meantime, there can be only rumors. More on Kamala Harris. She raised a ton of money, but Tulsi Gabbard outlasted her. Marianne Williamson outlasted her. Andrew Yang outlasted her. Tulsi Gabbard is an expert money manager, an expert resource manager, logistics manager in a competitive environment. Mayor Pete, Lieutenant Buttigieg, he has experience. He has a lot of experience, more than you may realize. And he has the resources, he has the money to do all the military stuff that you see in the Tulsi campaign, except they have more resources. Now, of course, we are less vulnerable because we are a decentralized campaign. And to be able to take down Tulsi Gabbard, you have to take down all of the individual nodes. And quite frankly, that's impossible. Tulsi has too many people on the ground. We work outside of the campaign in order to comply with U.S. finance laws about campaign finance. We are not on the payroll, and we have no connection to the Tulsi campaign officially. So we can do whatever we want. And this campaign is right for someone like me. I don't know if Bitcoin appeals to you, but have you ever thought of why Bitcoin appealed to its early adopters? Decentralization is much more secure and safe. It's going to be robust and long-lasting. Like I said, you would have to take out each individual node. If you want to take down Tulsi Gabbard, you got to smear me first, and hundreds of other online supporters and grassroots on-the-ground supporters who are organizing events. So I want to include my friends in Yang Gang and Marianne Williamson in these meetings because in my geographic area, it's hard to get these people mobilized. We are in a Joe Biden state. Joe Biden is set to win this particular state. And I'm interested in going to Iowa because the early results are going to influence the entire rest of the election. It's going to set the stage. So I'm not afraid of Mayor Pete's staff. As individuals, I can outlast each and every one, and I can outperform them. None of them have the creativity and experience that I have to bring. If you are afraid of Marianne Williamson, you can consider someone like me to be much, much worse. So this is about emerging threats. The Mayor Pete campaign appears to have limited growth, and earlier in the year, we were not too afraid. But they got big money, and you can search on Twitter for his campaign. All of them are out in the open, and that's bad because they are sitting ducks. If you try to find out who's working for Tulsi, it's nearly impossible. Some of us, people like me, are very out in the open with it, but if you can imagine what a nobody from New Jersey can do, think about what these Mark Zuckerberg recommended people who have access to a multi-million-dollar campaign. Think about what those kind of people can do to influence the way you're looking at this situation. More emerging threats. Kamala Harris left the election, and there's a lot of talk about who are these people going to go to. I've said in another video that they have already decided not to vote for Biden. They've already decided that they don't support Bernie Sanders. They don't want Tulsi. And most of them have already decided that they do not want Elizabeth Warren, because why wouldn't they go for the higher polling candidate in the first place? They're going to go downward. Some of them are going to pile into Amy. She's also a prosecutor. Some of them are going to go to Mayor Pete because he appears to be left. Some of them might get yanged. Some of them might go to Marianne Williamson. Now, we're talking about 2% of who is already decided, but let me remind you that the undecided number approaches 50% in many of these polls. Not that I believe the polls. So more on emerging threats. Donald Trump calls Amy Klobuchar a snow woman because nothing's going to stop her. This woman has won every election all the way back to 6th grade, and it is absolutely ridiculous that the other campaigns do not see her as a threat. Amy always wins. Currently, that is the timeline that we're on, but we are identifying the threats and we are developing a strategy. Now, I don't believe in Russian bots, if you ask me. Our intelligence community has been tracking interference not only from Russia, but from China, from India, from Pakistan, and other sources. We know the DNC is meddling. We know the Trump campaign is meddling. It's safe to say that big oil, big pharma, they're doing their thing. The satanic forces buried deep in Hollywood, they're doing their thing. There's a lot of different angles from which parties with a lot of money are trying to influence your ability to make a rational decision. I can't lead a horse to water, but, I mean, who led you here? Did you find this yourself? So anyway, this is about emerging threats. Tom Steyer is a billionaire who hates Donald Trump, and he has the resources to beat your candidate, but he doesn't have Mayor Pete's staff. Bloomberg, we'll see what he puts together. He has $50 billion. He makes Donald Trump look like a baby. This guy could win it, but we're not going to let that happen because basically a person with a lot of money is basically invisible to young people. Not my president. But let's get back to campaign strategy, shall we? Yang Gang. Andrew Yang is our friend. And he's having some problem right now because he was involved in just having a little bit of good fun. He's a lot like Cory Booker. He's a little bit of a goofball. Everybody loves him. I mean, nobody hates this guy personally. He gets along really well. And to a degree, I would say that superficially, that is what we need for America. Anyway, Andrew Yang is our friend, and I think he has a lot of great ideas, and I like amplifying his message. Because the type of person that doesn't support Tulsi Gabbard or really see the logistical strategist that she is, I would prefer them to gravitate towards someone like Andrew Yang than a dangerous person like Elizabeth Warren. You could argue about Andrew Yang on your own, but I'm not interested. He's our friend. Andrew Yang, Yang Gang, they've been having some infighting lately because there was an incident in which a video was shared in which he was just having fun putting whipped cream in somebody's face or something. His campaign manager walks over and he's like, buddy, no, come on, we gotta walk away from this. He pulls him away from that. And, we were thinking it would be great. Why Joe Biden has a lot of money, but why doesn't Joe Biden have a clever person standing next to him at all times that knows about optics and can pull Joe the hell away from a microphone when he's going too far? You think about that. The creativity of the Yang Gang. It has some similarities to the decentralized aspects of the Tulsi campaign. However, they do not quite fully understand personal liberty yet. There are people within Yang Gang who have attempted to control each other's approach, and they have been censoring each other. Now, I don't support censorship. I believe if you hear speech that you don't like, it's your duty to return with speech of your own. The correct answer to a lie is truth. Because we all know truth when we see it. Sometimes it can be hard to see the truth now we are in a reality TV show. Let me remind you, the greatest threat that we have is the influence of the corporate media on our good neighbors who believe the news. Forgive them. But you can show them the light, because it's up to you to show them the truth. Back to emerging threats. Right now it looks like Pete and Amy really are on their way. This thing is happening with Amy where Kamala Harris is a cop. They're like, wait a second, Amy Klobuchar is a cop. Why isn't anybody talking about that? And I've been checking Twitter every few hours since then. I felt an energy shift a few days ago, but sure enough, this is blowing out of control. And I can guarantee you, very soon, Amy's campaign is going to probably spin this into a good thing and try to make the argument that Amy is a good cop. Good cop, bad cop. Kamala Harris sets it up, and then Amy says, oh, wait, I'm going to make it all better for you. And they're going to buy it hook, line, and sinker. Look, you're going to need a lot more than money to beat Donald Trump. So, worrying about Bloomberg and worrying about Steyer, that is reasonable. They are credible threats. You deny the power of Tom Steyer's big money, but let me tell you, this is a man with a personal vendetta against Donald Trump, and over $1 billion, he's got nothing to lose. So within Yang Gang, there's some infighting because people are trying to control each other, and that is why I left the Mayor Pete campaign after a mere 3 hours this May. Earlier this May, I thought he was the one for a good 3 hours. It didn't take long before someone within his campaign started giving me rules about the way I was to conduct myself. No, nobody. You can, no control freaks in the White House. I want someone who can balance. I want someone who can work within the flow of what we can't control. Because in my industry, you can make all the plans you want, but things are going to change. And if you can't improvise, you will die. So that concludes this week's session on emerging threats. We are developing strategies. We have to identify the threats. And, I've been looking at Mayor Pete's entire campaign staff and learning what they eat for breakfast. Because you know what? These people make a lot of money and they have impressive resumes and they may be academics. They're fancy with words. They have good debate skills. They got a lot of cred. But you know what? None of these people stand up to the experience and the willpower that I can bring. A decentralized campaign is unbreakable. You are a corporate hierarchy, and I'm going to break your faith.